Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Bad Art Friend podcast. I'm Danny Vega.
Oh my God. You're right. That's what this is now.
We're almost done, guys.
Yes,
we are almost done.
It's true.
Guys,
please stay with us.
See the description I will put in if you're sick of it, if you didn't join us on our trip to Dawn and Sonia Town. I get it. Skip right to Guess the Verdict. I'll put that in the description for you, but it is going to take up some of the episodes. So let's get right into it because people, look, I don't know if you know this, but the last time I was extremely 1,000,000% right about something was COVID. Yes, I was sent home from work.
That's so true. Oh my God. Wait, and your appendix.
And my appendix. And in both cases, it actually was both were kind of the rare thing of like, actually, I don't wish I was right about this. This has been the worst thing that's ever happened. The appendix, of course, was pretty bad because I never had surgery, but COVID, obviously, pretty much the worst thing that's ever happened. And I was never happy for a single second that I was right. But people, we are back because I was big Team Dawn energy. I just couldn't bring myself to call her the asshole. And people, a lot has come out clarifying documents, chronology, God knows. I mean, Sarah, you know more about this part than me, but you seem to have turned on the author of the very piece. It almost seems like it was what a web he has sown.
Yes, you guys, I mean, you're witnessing with your ears, hearing, I suppose, AITA history. I feel like Danny was right and I was wrong, and this is a weird experience, but I will say I do feel like there were documents that were part of the court case that were not like publicly available, but you could purchase. And someone did that and compiled it into a Twitter thread. My friend found it from Dan Wynn at Dan Cow on Twitter, and basically just compiled these documents from which the New York Times does excerpt and quote. But like, to me, I think the quotes that the Times includes and the way that they include them really try to paint this in a very like, oh, who is it? Like, who is the bad friend way? When, like, if you were to actually read the whole quotes, it seems pretty clear who is the bad art friend. And the bad art friend is Sonia. I mean, she was not a friend at all. So, I mean, it's just, I was like, well, was she a writer who was taking inspiration and blah, blah, blah. And then when you read these documents, it's like, no, it's clear. Like, I still stand by my, like, I don't know, belief that, like, this is not, like, the Rose and the Rose/Dawn in the character is not necessarily Dawn, right? Like, I think it's inspired by her, as well as just like annoying, insufferable, probably white ladies that she's met, and I stand by that. But this was like, she was lurking in that group for content. This was intended to be like, oh, let's all just have a little laugh, and we will know that it is Dawn. Compounded by the fact that, I mean, she straight up plagiarized the stuff, which we knew, and we knew that she knew she had done it. But I guess it's just brazen to me how she was already called out for plagiarism and then decided to change the signature to kindly, which I was totally wrong about.
We're gonna go into it, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go through it because there's a lot of moving pieces. So first, let's start off because I think we had kind of gone back and forth about the litigation. I think this makes Sonia look really bad. So Spooky N. Gore wrote this really funny tweet, and she wrote, "You an intellectual. Dorland's decision to pitch a story about herself to the NYT was one of the biggest cell phones ever. Me, casually, did you see that Larson's decision to strike first with a lawsuit is the reason her group chats became public?" Which, by the way, I was so confused. Here's the Gawker article. It says, quote, "Until those texts were subpoenaed, the correspondence included in the Kolker article," which is the NYT piece, "was discoverable because of the litigation Sonia initiated against Dorland."
Idiot. I mean, they're both idiots, I feel like, because Dawn pitched this piece that made her look really unstable, and Sonia initiated this, right, which is always I mean, no one's gonna write like whatever. Anyway, and then Sonia took this risk of trying to proactively sue Dawn, but then it really opened up this whole can of worms that betrayed her true motivations for disseminating this story.
So the reason we all know about the chunky monkeys, and also a key component where, you know, she admitted that she plagiarized and knew what she was doing, and there was really not that really was debatable, but that all came out because of Sonia. So she really played herself.
She did. And listen, if you're going to do something incriminating, leave a voice memo. Like, do not text it. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure tell your friends to not keep their voice memos. I guess that's your best bet.
I mean, like, look, if you're in a lawsuit and someone's attorney wants to dig deep enough, like, they'll find it. But I feel like they need to know it exists in order to find it. And if you're not, anyway, this is not the true crime podcast.
I guess the other aspect is that I think even you and I kind of fell into this because I think nobody doubts for a single second that being a kidney donor is an amazing thing. But I feel that Dawn also really was depicted in a way, and I apologize to you, Miss Dorland, if you happen to be listening, because I don't think it's fair to characterize you as cringe or say that what you did was wrong. And I think there's a great tweet that kind of sums this up. Pombo Paloma Rat wrote, "It's so funny that Sonia goes," and this was regarding, some Facebook post Dawn had made. Sonia responded, "What am I supposed to do? Donate my organs?" in response to a literal campaign post for people to donate their organs. And some of the literature I've read here says that, and not surprisingly, that's what they encourage donors to do. They want people to brag. They want people to make social groups. They want people to post because they want to encourage more donorship. And since we all already agreed that it's a good thing that people donate, that is a very logical part of the process and not necessarily a reflection of a tremendous cringe narcissist.
That is funny. Yeah, I guess it's a valid point. I think, I don't know. I think on the one hand, like, I saw more evidence that made Dawn's reaction of reaching out to Sonia to be like, why haven't you liked my stuff? Made it seem a little bit more reasonable. Like, she was offering her out of the group. But I'm also like, it's a little bit much to literally be keeping tabs on who is engaging with your post and who is not. Like, well, I literally don't even do that.
I agree, and that is why we so surmised. However, there is this other thing, and it seems like I think the New York Times kind of edited this quote a little bit because this feels very different. Here's the actual quote from the court documentation. This is from a letter from Dawn to Sonia. Quote, "It's the interpersonal layer that feels off to me, Sonia. If you check FB, I'll think you'll see that I messaged you about staying/participating in the kidney group ahead of my donation, and you didn't respond." So it wasn't like Dawn had just lumped her into this group and been like, now you're getting barraged with my private post. She actually had done a check-in and been like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And Sonia ghosted that shit and instead chose to roast the ever-living shit out of her with the chunky monkey. So what she was doing was pretty disingenuous. And in that world, I actually don't view Dawn's kind of obsession with like Sonia's non-checking to be so wrong. I'm like, no, I would notice that. I'd be like, she ghosted my message, but now she's writing a thing about kidney donation. So like, is she seeing this shit or not?
No, I agree that the holistic picture is off. But like, to me, even going through the step of cross-referencing who's in the group with who's like actually liking your posts and then confronting someone about it is like much more than I would do. But like, she found the holistic picture that she wanted to find, which was that Sonia was indeed just lurking for content in the group.
Exactly. And she had personally reached out and directly messaged her about staying and participating.
Yeah, but I still think that's weird. It's like, oh, you can only like, you can be in my group, but only if you're like liking my, like, just let, I think that's weird.
I don't think it's weird.
I think it's weird.
I think it might betray that Dawn had a misperception of how close they were, but like, I don't think it's that weird. Like, if I had a Facebook event group with my birthday, and then I was throwing a birthday at a Chuck E. Cheese, and the people are like, why the fuck are you doing that? You're 31 years old. And then, I found out that, Sarah, that you were sort of tweeting about a guy and you hadn't said shit about the birthday event, and I had messaged you about it, and then you tweeted, man, old man throwing a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese sure is fucked up. You better believe I would be like, that's weird. Sarah ghosted the event. She ghosted my message. Now she's tweeting. I'm coming for you.
Yes, but here's what I'm just thinking of before this all happened. I'm just saying at the moment that she did it, it was weird. That would be like, if I literally was like, hey, Danny, I noticed you haven't liked my last 2 Instagram posts. Are you going to go back and like them, or should I block you? Like, that's fucking weird.
That's not what she did, though.
It kind of is. She's like, I noticed you're not engaging with my posts, so should I remove you from the group?
Well, yeah, because she was also seemingly ghosted the message. So it was like, do you want to be part of this or not? You're not engaging with me. That's why she had sent the email as well.
The message too.
She sent the message.
That's what's weird.
I mean, look, but it would have been kind of aggressive for her to just kick her out. You know, she was assuming the best in someone, and I actually think that's a point in Dawn's favor. Anyway,
I'm just like, or you just let it be, because like you're putting so much stock into what individual people are doing on Facebook.
I mean, look, it's not healthy, but come on, Sarah. Who among us has not checked the Insta story watchers? We've all been there,
but then I'm not going to message you asking you why you haven't watched it. That's my only point. That's literally all I've got.
I agree. It's weird, but the holistic picture was weird. Okay, so then the other smoking gun I like here is that we've got this email where Sonia reaches out to the Audible publisher. She started to become aware that Dawn smells what's cooking. And she wrote, hey, I totally understand that it's a huge pain to re-record, but I definitely have another story that they could have the audio rights to if that would help the request be more doable. So she's literally bartering. She's like, hey, please, we need to re-record that story because I plagiarized in it. But, you know, you can have the rights to this other story. And it's like, she definitely knew what she did was wrong.
100%.
And that was in 2016.
She's trying to backtrack.
Exactly.
And then the fact that she, I don't know like when the submission process for this One City, One Love, One Festival, whatever the fuck it was called, one book. But when she submitted to that, she should have known. And that's what I loved was I want to say Bonnie. Let me find her. She was from that Boston festival, and she emailed fucking Debbie this is August 2018. Now, granted, this is probably the version that is not directly plagiarized, but it is like echoing Dawn's letter, because I think by this point she had changed it, but not enough that Dawn wasn't like, wait, this is my letter. But what I loved is that Debbie says, Sonia, please ask your friends to stop writing to us on your behalf. And then she goes, this is fucking brutal. She says, just in case no one has said this to you, you should never have submitted a story to us that had a plagiarism claim against it, and then continued to withhold that information from us when we picked the story. And then
exactly.
Yeah, no, but I'm just like, oof, Debbie has no punches to hold. I don't know.
Yeah, she pulled no
there we
punches.
Go. Yeah, I'm like, what is the phrase?
So going now into the Dan Wynn thread, he writes, the Facebook stuff is moot. Dawn believed Sonia's lie. Later, she found the truth, was hurt enough to quietly unfriend Sonia, and yet for 2 years didn't bring up. How is Dawn obsessed? She only went ballistic when she finally saw how much plagiarism there was.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, the saddest thing about Sonia is she got a gift from God. 2 years to fix and cover up her major plagiarism. She squandered that gift, and she still couldn't stop herself from doing some more quote unquote fuck around and find out. And then Sarah, you denied me on this, and I'm hoping you'll give it to me now. She had to throw in, even after rewording. Remember that slight when in the new version she throws in the kindly at the end of the letter.
Totally.
And I said that is a dirty ass dig. She could have thrown anything there, but she wanted to still fucking come at Dorland.
100%. She wanted to like still leave. And it's like, that is the dumbest part of all too, because it's like she was already on to you, and you just had to like let her know that you know that she knows that was dumb. That was a miscalculation. Not as bad of a miscalculation as just like straight up plagiarizing, but it's like you got your digs in, and you and your little writer friends all had a laugh at her expense, but like you had to go and just add that one final thing.
Yep, because
so
Larson
I feel like that's probably that. I know. I'm like, that's probably why Dawn just didn't let up, because she's like, oh, you got to be kidding me, like.
She wanted it all. I think Larson got very, very greedy. She wanted the friends. She won the friends group. By the way, I'm now a big fan of...
Dawn, I feel like she always had the friends group. Like, that was never up for debate.
Well, I know, but she was slamming Dawn and kind of low-key ostracizing her. And I was going to bring up Celeste Ng, who is now my fave because her Twitter handle is so... Because her name, if you spell it, it's Celeste NG. And then Celeste NG's Twitter handle is pronounced Ing. And I was like, damn, she really read me right. I mean, that's exactly what I'm here to figure out. And she also had this really funny quote where she's like, literally nobody looks good in the story, including me.
Yeah, man. And she's a famous writer. Like, she wrote Little Fires Everywhere. It got optioned for Hulu. I'm like, Celeste, why are you getting involved in this mess?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel Sonia got greedy. She wanted to keep the quote initially, and that was too greedy. She wanted all the friends to herself. She wanted to stay in the group instead of do the right thing and just leave the group, you know, and then she wanted to win the lawsuits. And she just, like, honestly, at the point of a published version of this story going out with plagiarism, that honestly could have been the point where she should have thrown in the towel and been like, now I'm a plagiarist. You know, let me just bail on this one story. It doesn't matter. And Sarah, I guess you didn't agree with me totally on this. I think The Kindest is a great story. It made me feel a lot of shit.
I liked the story. I was just like, but now it's been so built up that I was like, you know, whatever. I think that if she had done nothing different except not plagiarized the letter, like, I don't even think we'd be here. I'd be like, nobody's doing anything wrong. If Dawn had sued over that, then she would have been the one in the wrong. But, like, to me, It's just like ego gone unchecked. Like, I don't know, it does give me my true crime vibes, because it's like she just really thought that she could get away with it and was being, like, so brazen. And she did kind of ostensibly get away with it, because, you know, everybody who read this story was divided or came off thinking that maybe Dawn is unstable, or came off thinking this and that. Like, it wasn't super clear. And it's only if you've, like, really been plugged into this discourse for a week because you're like us and you have no lives that you have started to think, like, oh, maybe this woman, like, really did do a wrong thing. But I mean, to me, if she had just not plagiarized the letter, like, I don't think I would have any reason to come for Sonia at all. I'd be like, yeah, it's a little bit like, it doesn't feel nice to have that happen to you, right? To have someone, like, kind of base a story off something that you did, but like, that's art and that's writing, and they're both writers and they would know that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, you're right that the ultimate sin is the plagiarism. I don't think it was an artistic sin. For me, it just really did play as a kind of vindictiveness and a mean girlsness, and that's where I've kind of landed. And
yeah, but if she didn't plagiarize that letter, then if she didn't plagiarize the letter, she didn't name the character Dawn at first, and she didn't say kindly, then there would be no claim of vindictiveness, and she could just know in her head what it was, right? And none of us would really know what her true intentions were.
Of course, and like I said, and I never said I wouldn't roast someone, and I wouldn't make mean jokes at a kidney donor's expense if I found them obnoxious. So I don't even ding her for that shit. I would have been in the Chunky Monkeys, you know. I'd actually like an invite. I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, so I think we've settled out there. I certainly feel validated, and I know some of you are sick of this, so maybe this is the end unless more comes out. But
what more could come out unless it comes out that, like, Dawn has slept with Sonia's husband or something like that? Like, who? Which, you know what? In this age of the internet, I'm not going to put anything past anyone.
I'm also annoyed though, because short story Twitter got, like, mad. They're like, I listened to the pod and then they did
Danny,
short stories.
Danny, it was one person. You
I know.
Let it
well,
go.
I'm crazy. I'm gonna stop reading the reviews. I'm gonna stop reading the reviews. By the way,
it's one person.
I know, but I wanted to say that I like a short story because it's short and I'm stupid and I'm a fan of the form, and I wish short story writers success, and I wish Dawn. I think it's kind of cool how much publicity they've gotten, and hopefully, I hope both of them can translate this to success, but I kind of want Dawn to be able to translate it into more short story success. So we look forward to that. But for now, folks, please, begging you, rate, review, subscribe. Really appreciate it. We might be dropping the read every review on the pod episode, as my mental health is perpetually fragile. Anyway, please do that. Join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/AITA pod. We welcome our new patrons, Danny, Monique, and Sarah. Welcome. We love to have it. And now let's do some Guess the Verdict. AITA for not saying espresso.
Oh my God. So he said espresso.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yes.
I'm going to go with not the asshole, and whoever made a federal case out of this is. Not
the asshole is wrong. So husband has become a coffee maniac. Wife refuses to say espresso and says espresso. You hit that nail on the head. Husband insists she say it right. I guess English isn't her first language. But OP has no desire to do this. He says he feels attacked by my words, and OP says that she feels attacked by his. Top comment went to Sparkly Sloth, who wrote ESH. I was well prepared to go NTA, because if you try and are unable to pronounce a word correctly, that's hardly your fault. But after your comment, OP wrote a comment that they don't want to, quote, waste any time on husband's hobby. They went ESH.
Woof. Okay. AITA for telling my girlfriend she should get a boob job.
Jesus, Sarah, what kind of terrorism is this? This is just a minefield. How could they not? I guess the only way this would be tricky is if it was an ESH. Maybe the girlfriend said something to him. What would even say to him? Get a wiener job? I mean, come on.
A wiener job.
I know this is going to be wrong, but I'm going YTA.
You would think, and that's what I thought too. But essentially what's happening, that was a good thought with the wiener job. But basically the girlfriend is just... The girlfriend is just like really insecure and it's always like, ugh, my hair sucks, my pores are too big, whatever. And the boyfriend's always like, no, you're beautiful, I love you. And finally she found a picture of his ex-girlfriend who has bigger boobs than her, and then she just like wouldn't let it go. Like she kept being like, oh, I should get bigger boobs, do you really like me, blah blah blah.
Oh my god.
And finally he goes, I should probably get a boob job. Oh no, and finally she's just like, oh, I wish I had bigger boobs. And one day he snapped and was like, you know what? If that's how you feel, then yeah, you should get a boob job. And she was pissed. So the top comment was, NTA, you gave her the response she wanted and she was looking for a fight. Insecure people are exhausting. It's not your role to fix her. Yeah,
that's fair. Wow. That is definitely, I don't even know. That just sounds like a terrible sitch.
Yep.
Because we've all been at the end of our kind of patience and just been like, what? Here, is this what you want? Here, I'll say the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
AITA for not doing the laundry correctly.
Not doing the laundry correctly. I'm going to go with YTA.
YTA is correct. Well done.
Didn't overthink this one.
OP just moved in with GF. She's a nurse. OP's unemployed, looking for a job. GF texts them like, hey, do the laundry. I already did it. Just put it away. OP had just spent an hour looking for jobs and wanted to relax, but does it anyway. She gets home and starts screaming because he just crammed stuff into drawers. She couldn't even get her drawers to open easily. He said, that's how I do laundry, and if she didn't like it, she should do it herself.
No, that's bullshit.
Top comment.
It's not even doing the laundry, it's putting it away.
I mean, yeah, I honestly, if he had folded it poorly and not folded it how she wanted, or it was like an exacting detail, but to just cram it into the drawers, come on, who does that? Nobody does that. That's wild.
Right.
Maisie writes, YTA, are you a child? Annoyed because you wanted to relax after applying to jobs? Are you unemployed because laundry seems like the least you could do if you're not working? You just crammed her clothes in the dresser. Hella lazy. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's so lazy, and like then you have to iron all the clothes.
But I did want to say one point. Yeah, exactly. It kind of ruins it. But I did want to say one point that I don't think if you have an unemployed partner or friend or anything, you should be like, well, you should be doing more stuff, because like that can often just lead to depression and low self-esteem. And so it's not as simple as being like, oh, you're unemployed, you have time, so you do everything. It's like, I think it'd just be a very trying kind of place to be in when you're unemployed. I just wanted to launch that little bit of empathy, but it definitely is a YTA.
Yeah, agree. Would I be the asshole for calling out a teacher who made my daughter sit in timeout in the hallway?
Oh my God. Calling out? Well, why? They sat in timeout. That seems like a fair discipline. But I said YTA last time and that got me nowhere. YTA's been getting me nowhere. Maybe it's an NTA. I don't even know. I just feel like I've been such a loser. I'm just going to double down and YTA it.
Oh, you were close. So basically, I was like, this seems like a pretty normal punishment, I guess. Although I guess I'm like, punishing a kid by putting them in the hallway where you can't supervise them seems kind of like stupid. Basically, the daughter got caught copying another student's work, was put in timeout. Oh, the daughter's 7, by the way. Was put in the hallway. And this is what's kind of crazy is like the teacher put her out in the hallway, locked the door, and then the daughter had to pee. So she ended up like just peeing her pants because the teacher had locked the door.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the top verdict was an NTA.
Well, that makes total sense. And Sarah, you are once again the Guess the Verdict Queen.
Woo!
Folks, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. In fact, right now we are going to be joined by our new patron, Dan, for a little bit of call-in action. And you can do the call-in show by joining us on Patreon. So here it is. We welcome Dan to this episode. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. You have become a new patron at the $10 tier, producer tier. I'm not sure what it's called. All I know is that I'm happy you're here because you're a Londoner.
I am. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
We're so excited to have you. And, you know, I am honestly extra honored because I have talked a lot of shit about, you know, countries such as yours that use fake money. I've made jokes of this nature, but you've weathered the storm and you found it tolerable. So you obviously have a good sense of humor.
Well, you're obviously just an upstart colonial, so it's not a problem for us. We chuckle away at your little idiosyncrasies, so it's not a problem, Danny.
and maybe I was carrying in that kind of insecure new country energy, much like the freshman in high school when I went to London for the first time. And I frankly found it a bit underwhelming. I mean, I certainly found it old, so props there.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, and fact check me on this, because I told all these people, I was like, the tube is so much worse than the subway. And they said, no, Danny, you were on the worst tube, because I was on the red train. Is the red train a particularly terrible tube?
So, I mean, yes, that is the central line, the red one. And that literally cuts across the middle of the city, east to west. And it's very busy and very hot, especially in the summertime. It gets insane. So, yeah, it is pretty grim. I used to live on the Central Line. I now live on the Victoria Line, which travels diagonally through the city and is one of the youngest tubes, and it's the best one because it gets you across the city in about half an hour, which is incredibly fast.
Because in the subway, all the trains, people will be like, well, the G sucks, and the G sucks because it's a tiny train, but it's a short train. The actual train cars are all the same size. But are you telling me that the red train? Because I also found the size of the train was ridiculous. I was like, what is this? Is this for circus clowns? This is too small. It's a smaller train. Is that right?
They are different sizes because some of them were built like I think the Northern Line, the black one, was built about 150 years ago. So the tunnels are literally smaller. So the trains are smaller. But if you really want to see a tiny train, you should go to Glasgow because they have a little subway that runs around Glasgow, and the trains in there are so small. I could stand inside the train. I'm about 6'1". I could stand inside the train and touch both sides of the train with my hands.
Nope, not interested in Glasgow. I'm out.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I did certainly find parts of London striking. Reminded me of some of the worst aspects of New York, like the very moody weather. I have to say, how do you say it? The Thames? Is that what it is?
The Thames, right?
Not even close. It's the Thames. I think Danny's taking the piss. I'm sure that he knows it's not the Thames.
No, I really don't. I'm very stupid. I'm honestly that stupid. But no, I like the library, or what is it they got over there? It was like the Imperial Library. Everything's all royal. Everyone's all the king and stuff. I like that. That was kind of cool. And the Babylonian, what is it? What do they call that? You know what I'm talking about? The translations. I really don't remember.
I don't know if you're still speaking English, to be fair, Danny. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
The Rosetta Stone, Dad. You've got the Rosetta Stone, okay? In the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of things that we've stolen from other parts of the world, and then we put them in museums and call it the British Museum, except it's full of Babylonian artifacts and Egyptian artifacts. And it's a lot of the beautiful, incredible museums in London are filled with global plunder.
Yeah, I love that. And I like how they were honest. They're like, oh, yeah, everyone's all mad at us, but yeah, we're keeping them here because everyone can see them here. And the other countries are like, yeah, we like that back. That's a priceless part of our history. And the museum's like, nah, these are ours now. And that's like on a plaque.
Yes, basically. But it looks so good. Look, we built a nice gallery and we painted the walls, and look, it looks beautiful. Let's keep it here. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure that that's okay, but it is definitely a fact in London.
It really is a beautiful city in many ways. I think I just am carrying my kind of arrogant New Yorker energy. Look, let me say this: London blows LA out of the water. Not even close. So I'll say that.
Don't most cities? I do like LA. I've been to LA. I enjoyed it. I have friends that live there. But really, who likes LA based up against any other city? Let's be honest. LA's good for what it's good for, but other than that, like, nobody wants to be there.
You know what I loved about London? The Indian food. That, speaking of global plunder, I know there was some bad things in history there, but wow, the Indian food was incredible. So good.
Yes, we do have some excellent Indian restaurants in London. We have a lot of really, really good food in London, and I don't know why, for some reason it's a joke in America that British food is terrible, but there is a lot of excellent food you can get in the UK.
I did try the haggis.
I've been to London one time. I don't remember like any of the food blowing me away, but I also probably was like, I want to have fish and chips, so
Well, that's not. If you get good fish and chips, it can be okay, but it's not particularly exciting culinary experience to have fish and chips. I'll be honest, Danny. I'm not Scottish, so I've never had haggis, but that's because I'm not really a fan of offal. So I don't think I would want that. Do you know what haggis is?
Oh, this was
Quiz
I just did. It's like sheep's heart, right?
It's the lining of a sheep's stomach stuffed with sheep offal. So kidney, liver, all the parts of the sheep that aren't basically the meatier parts, offal. So just pretty gross, frankly. But did you enjoy it, Danny? Okay.
I did. I thought it
good.
was interesting, and I gave London a couple points there. I liked it. I liked it. And I liked the fish and the chips. And, it's a cool town, and I didn't like the money. The money was very expensive. It was very frustrating. They need to fix the money over there.
When did you come?
When did I go? I went right before COVID. I went January 2020.
Okay. So since COVID, the exchange rate has tilted in your favor quite extensively, actually. So you should probably come back and your money will go a lot further.
You'll love to hear it, people. Visit London. Visit Dan.
Wow.
I know it wasn't the best commercial that's ever been released. It's a complicated place, it really is. Go check it out. Don't ride the red train. Take the other one. Guys, we got a juicy sitch for you here today. AITA told my best friend from college I am not going to their wedding anymore after I learned our other best friend was not invited. Complicated. I am an M24, male 24 years old. I had two best friends in college, Justin and Nathan. Justin is getting married next month. My fiance and I were invited to his wedding. Justin has met my fiance several times and they are friendly, but it's not like they're close or anything. A couple weeks ago, I learned that Nathan was not invited to the wedding after I messaged him asking him about the wedding as I thought it would be nice to coordinate some stuff. That's when I learned he hadn't been invited. I thought that was terrible. So I messaged Justin asking what was up. Justin claimed the wedding was going to be super small and he couldn't invite everyone. I told him that I talked to my fiance and both agreed it would be fine to have Nathan instead of my fiance. Justin declined and said he wouldn't be changing the guests that had already invited. I asked what the real reason Nathan wasn't invited, and he refused to give any other reason other than keeping the wedding small. I found this fishy and a slap in the face to Nathan. I have no idea what the reasoning is, and after talking to Nathan, neither does he. I told Justin my fiance and I were no longer coming, as I didn't think it was fair that Nathan wasn't invited. I said that the only way we would come is if Nathan was there or I was given a valid reason as to why Nathan wasn't invited. Justin got mad at me and said it was rude to change my RSVP. AITA. Not sure why people think I'm trying to dictate a guest list. I just inquired and tried to say my +1 didn't need to come if the amount of guests was the issue. Also, Justin, Nathan, and I were/am best friends who told each other everything. If there was actually an issue between the two, I would know. There isn't an issue between the two because Nathan has no idea why he wasn't invited. And Justin, Nathan, and I constantly chatted in our group prior to this incident.
Okay, I mean, the edits did not do the OP any favor. I don't really remember why I included them, but there clearly is an issue, and you clearly don't know. Like, what?
Obviously there is an issue. That's fundamentally what's going on. Justin doesn't want Nathan at the wedding. Or Justin's fiance doesn't want Nathan at the wedding. Are those the right names? Have I got the names right?
I think you got it.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. There was some kind of probably minor comment. I have deep Nathan energy. Said some kind of minor comment, like she said, like, I'm a bartender. And then Nathan said, oh, so what are you really trying to do? And then the fiance was just devastated. And this is right from my real life. And
I was going to say, speaking from a completely made up example.
Yeah, no, this exactly happened. But this is definitely...
is that legit? Sorry, no, wait a sec. Danny, is that legit? Wow. Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. Sometimes my mouth takes over before my brain engages as well, and then I live to bitterly regret it on podcasts later.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I was... This caused a lot of grief in my life, because then I didn't realize that she hated me, and then my friend was eating dinner, and I ran into them, and I was like, hey, let me join you for dinner, and the subtext of the interaction was, we all hate Danny, and it was very, very uncomfortable. And then they were like, you need to leave. And I was like, haha, good one. And they were like, seriously, leave. And I was like, you guys are hilarious.
Danny! Oh my God, you're like a sitcom character.
It really was quite a sitcom. And my friend is like, I don't know, he's like fucking 8'12" or some shit. And so he was like literally screaming in my face. And I was like, okay, this bit is going too far. And they were like, there's no bit.
Oh my God. Oh my
Anyway,
God.
back to the sitch. I think that
so funny.
this is... There's like a lot of politicking going on here, and I guess I'm just finding it hard to agree with the rigidity of OP. How are you guys feeling on that? It just seems very like, you need to tell me or I will not go, and I don't know, it doesn't seem appropriate.
OP is inserting themselves into whatever this situation that exists between the other two guys, and it's not their place to do so. Frankly, it's none of their business. Even if he's friends with both of them and feels that they've got a really strong friendship, he is pushing himself into whatever this conflict problem is, and Justin doesn't want to address it. And apparently Nathan doesn't understand either, but from what is written, Nathan did not ask OP to step back from the wedding. Is that right?
Yeah, no, he just
went nuclear.
He just was like,
He was like, you're going to tell me or we're not going to go. And I'm like, well, why? Why do you need to point this? Like, look, in the end, you said the three of you are such good friends. So, like, yeah, this is kind of messed up. But, I mean, I think it's so transparently what you said, Dan. I really think you called that right out the gate. There's something with the fiance, and she doesn't like him, and that's that. You know, it's like, well, why do we need to go into this? We don't need to. There's no way around it, right? Because if she said he's not going, then, you know, he's not going.
It seems like it's possible that this friendship is asymmetric, as in OP thinks it is bigger and more important between the three of them, the bond that exists, than apparently Justin does, because Justin has now not invited Nathan to the wedding. So clearly there is something amiss there. And either, like you said, that idea that the fiancé is against Nathan for some reason, or maybe Justin doesn't feel as close to Nathan as he once did. They're a couple of years out of college, I presume, if they're all about 24 years old, which, apart from anything else, I think it's far too young to be getting married, but that's a personal opinion. But also, if their current behavior says anything, there is a conflict that exists between Jason and Justin and Nathan that Justin is not willing to address, which also tells me that maybe he's too young to be getting married if he's not willing to speak to someone that apparently he was incredibly close to for years. I'm getting mega judgy now, guys.
No, I feel like, I mean, that's a valid point. I feel like OP is clearly in denial. Like, he wants, I don't know, he has this like rosy idealistic thing of like, the three musketeers, and there clearly is a glaring problem. Like, to not be invited to your best friend's wedding is pretty serious, and not just something that, in my opinion, would be accounted for just by like space concerns. So there's something going on that OP like hasn't picked up on or just doesn't want to believe is real. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird to ghost your friend like this at the same time.
It's weird that there's no interaction from Nathan. He hasn't said what Nathan has said, other than he doesn't know why.
Yeah.
Did Nathan ask him to not go to the wedding, or did Nathan support him not going to the wedding? Kind of feels like those are important points for him to just jump on the whole, I reject this invitation, I don't want a part of this now.
It's so true. I'm also like, what? Like, why is OP doing Nathan's bidding? Like, why isn't Nathan being... I know it's awkward to be like, hey, why wasn't I invited to the wedding? But I don't know, has Nathan reached out to be like, hey man, is everything okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm involved in a situation like this. I wasn't invited basically to a sort of wedding sitch, and it hurt my feelings. But the truth is, you know, that it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, if that person wants to create distance there for whatever reason, and they're not going to come to you and explain it, and it seems out of the blue, it's kind of like, that's just what it is, you know, because it is a slap in the face. I don't think that's deniable. And I don't really think it. I would never ask one of my friends who was invited to this thing to like not go because I wasn't invited. That's insane, you know? Why?
Yeah, that's like over the top for sure.
Completely over the top.
Do you think OP's reaction to not go is also over the top?
Totally. Why?
Yes.
Why? Like, I wouldn't ask a friend to do that, and I'd be like, look, this person has a problem with not you, so why are you making it your thing? Like, this just isn't your case, you know? Like, let it be. Like, and here's the other thing, to go the other direction with this, is like, yes, it does hurt and it is a slap in the face. It also, a wedding is so symbolic, And like there could be any myriad of reasons you're not invited. And like that actually doesn't mean, I think the key is not to catastrophize, because I wasn't invited to a close friend's wedding a few years ago and I was all like, whoa. And that person is still one of my best friends and it literally doesn't matter at all. And like, you know, this person invited other people in our group of friends and I know are nowhere near as close to them as I am. And it like, I was like, God, that was symbolic. And I would have been such a fool to be upset or confrontational about this. And I just said nothing. And it literally did not matter. You're not even going to see them on their wedding. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're in the bridal party, like they're going to be schmoozing with all the motherfuckers and all the parents. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's really not that big of a deal.
It's true. I feel like just be glad they saved you the money, honestly.
Seriously. Seriously. Like, it's silly to take it as an attack on your closeness, because even though it is a slight and it does hurt, it's really not the most connective, fun thing that goes down between people. And like, and because there is the fiance involved, it's like their thing too. And it's really can be potentially a huge reflection of that.
I mean, it's kind of a litmus test as well, isn't it? Like this moment, like you say, Danny, you are not less close to your friends, that friend of yours, because you weren't at their wedding a few years ago. Your friendship has endured beyond that. So if Justin and Nathan's friendship is going to endure, it will. Or maybe this is actually just one of those moments where Justin's moved onwards in his life, and he had a very strong friendship with Nathan at that point, but he has moved past it for whatever reason. And maybe this is just a break point for them. Maybe for all three of them now, if OP decides to, you know, rage quit the wedding and not go. But that is a thing that happens. Some relationships, you can, and when I say relationships, I mean friendships, you could be in them for a period of time and then for whatever reason they wax and wane and you move on from them. And maybe that's literally what's happening for Justin and Nathan in this moment. It may be one of the two things.
Absolutely. Could be a waxing, could be a waning, could be like just fiance doesn't like you. You said, like, it could be any of these things. But I think the question that I'm not settled on, and maybe let's see what the comments are saying, is OP the asshole? Well, super fast mama thinks so. YTA, I mean, you can go or not go, but he has every right to not invite someone to his wedding and not be in trouble with a third party. He may have good reason and he has no obligation to share it with you. I'm pretty much lined up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think trying to play like this ultimatum thing of trying to pull friend rank and being like, well, I'm only coming if you tell me why you're not inviting him. So it kind of forces the Justin to be like, oh, well, is having OP at my wedding more important than me not sharing this reason? You know, that might not be his thing to tell. I think that's like BS.
OP's definitely the arsehole for refusing to go to the wedding and also making it an ultimatum. Tell me or I won't come. Tell me this thing that's actually probably none of my business, it seems.
Right.
Because it's nothing to do with him. It's between Justin and Nathan. Whatever it is, Justin won't tell Nathan. Nathan don't want to go. If you don't want to go to the wedding, fine. You are kind of an arsehole, though, because you said you would go and you say he's a really good friend of yours.
I think so.
That's true.
We do have one dissenter here. Lee 2021 AZ, NTA, they have the right to decide who comes, but you have the right to decide whether you won't attend or not. Your other close friend being snubbed seems odd and is a fair line to say you won't attend. I don't think... Is it really then the sin, maybe the ultimatum and trying to be like, you're going to tell me or I'm not going to go?
That... I think... I mean, as far as reasons to not attend a wedding go, I think... being mad that your other friend wasn't invited is like a pretty crappy one, whether you communicate that explicitly or not.
Yeah.
It's not OP's fight, is it? It's between Justin and Nathan, and he needs to stay out of it, frankly.
That's kind of how I feel.
Whatever it is that's gone down.
I'm with that. There's no point. Go to the wedding, OP. AITA told my best friend from college I'm not going to their wedding anymore after I learned our other best friend was not invited. I think we all agree. YTA.
Yep.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And, London is, I recommend people go. People should see it, and you guys made up English. We got to give you credit.
We did make up English. Thank you. I'm glad that we managed to turn your opinion around on London. That's fantastic news. And yeah, next time you come to London, I'll take you to Itsu and we can get some fast sushi.
Itsu for lunch, pret a manger for dinner, baby. The two most prevalent McDonald's of London. So
they are on every street corner. We love Pret a Manager in London. It's true.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to wrap things up with a listener submish here. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. AITA for confronting my boyfriend about him liking local girls' near nude pics. Oh, we have been down these roads before, folks. Yikes, put on my hazmat suit. I was on Instagram this morning. I got suggested a local girl's account. Her profile picture was of her in underwear. And when I checked who was following her, I saw, dun dun dun, my boyfriend. I went to her profile and this person uploads near nudes of herself, showing her behind and front on near full displays. She covers her intimate parts with her hands or flowers.
Her nipples.
And my boyfriend has liked almost all of her pics. This bummed me out so much. And to make matters worse, I checked his following list and he was following a lot of girls that uploaded pics like that, all of them from our city. AITA for being hurt by this. I think it's disrespectful and it's making me doubt if he's faithful or not. IDK, what to do or think. So let's start with that before we get to the edit, which is kind of a game changer.
I think it's natural to feel it can be natural to feel a certain type of way about this. I guess just honestly, because this is my mindset, and like, I know this isn't for everyone and everyone doesn't agree, but like, porn is discreet and free. And so I'm kind of like, why do you need to go linking your name and identity publicly to like, not quite porn?
Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, I was on Keith and the Girl about this, and a lot of people have fought me on it. Like, I don't know. Like, I think a great example is my friend Andrea, who's been on the show, just did our AITA stand-up show. It's like she posts thirst traps and stuff. She's been my friend for years. Like, that's just what she posts. She posts her whole butt and shit. And
I think it depends on the person and the friend, because if you're just following like a random Instagram model who you don't know, that's one thing than just being like, oh, well, my friend is like posting this picture in a bikini, which I feel like came up with your issue, or versus like, yeah, my friend just like posts sexy pics on Instagram and that's her thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like most of these gals that I would like who post scantily clad stuff, they are friends and they're almost all like gals I met in comedy. And so
Gals.
It's not really like, I don't know, there's no intent there. It's not like I'm being like, oh, I'll like this photo and then, you know, we can hook up, you know. It's like, so I don't look, but here's the thing. I understand that. I think my main point of defense is that it's not really, when I'm liking these photos or whatever and I'm on Instagram, it's like this Pavlovian or Skinnerian pigeon just kind of like putting his head where the food goes. Like, it's not so conscious and mediated. So I just think giving guys a little bit of grace, because, you know, I have had people I've dated be like, don't like a single picture, and they can get really hurt. And so I understand the hurt, and I understand then that at that point, the boyfriend should change what he's doing and stop, you know, following this account. Because I'm with you, Sarah. From a rational perspective, it's like, yo, dog, porn is free. If that's the fix you want, why do you need to get it on Instagram where it's public? And then the algo will, like, you know, obviously the algo is responsible here, kind of feeding this girl the profile. And she's like, WTF, mate? Why is my boyfriend one of the followers? Like, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, your situation with the friends is tricky, because I feel like we talked about this where we're like, a thirst trap really is like porn, which is like, you know it when you see it, but you can't really objectively define what it is all the time. And so if it's your friend, I think you can get a little bit more leeway. Like, yeah, I'm just giving her the courtesy. Like, you know, she showed up in my feed. The algorithm isn't chronological anymore. We're out here trying to make money on Instagram or whatever. But like, well, I think it's different to like follow random models that you don't know, because you're not really in it for anything other than like, oh, I want to look at your body. I
guess. I mean, God, I just feel like, I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but I just feel like,
here we go.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. You're hot. I think you're hot. Like, yes, there is maybe a thirsty thought to it where it's like, oh yeah, I'm interested interested in you sexually on some level, but that's a far cry from I am trying to initiate something inappropriate, and that I think is the gap here. However, I understand, and I think it's a conversation, and if that was this whole situation, I would say this is a conversation. I think give guys some grace, because there are corner cases, and a lot of social media is like unconscious and programmed to solicit likes and dopamine rush, and that's all I was really trying to say in the past when I got chewed up for this, because I know my intent is pure, and look, if I'm trying to cheat, that's liking pictures is not going to be a plausible vector for doing that, but it does feel like cheating, right? Like I never liked a girl's picture so much, and then one day she reaches out and it's like, oh,
right, hey, I noticed you. Yeah, that's so true.
They're not Don Dorland. Hey, I noticed you liked my pic, so you want to hook up?
Want me to block you? I noticed you haven't liked my last butt pic.
Right, but now going into this edit, I think we're about to see how this zooms out. Edit, quote, he was unfaithful a few months ago, and this is not a new relationship. We've been together a while now, and he's been totally devoted to the relationship. Finding these pics was startling, and it's like, well, yeah, in a world where, and this is where this obviously becomes played up, and some women may be more sensitive than others, but in a world where the trust structure of the relationship is so damaged, I mean, he cheated mere months ago. Of course, this is going to play very poorly, right? Because, when I was in very secure relationships, I would easily, me and my girlfriend would talk. We'd be like, oh yeah, she's super hot. And like, it wasn't a big deal because there was never, it was like, we were just talking like some people are hot. Like what? It's nice. There's nothing there. It's just like, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But if the trust structure is fucked up, then I can see how this would be immensely painful. And if you're a cheater and you're being this unconscious and thoughtless toward your partner after doing something so heinous, yeah, you're an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you just cheated a few months ago. It's like, obviously you're going to be on a sort of a hair trigger and feel disrespected by this, and it should absolutely be brought up, because it's all, I mean, in my opinion, I think that's all just part of rebuilding the trust back, and like his response to her bringing this up is going to tell her a lot.
Exactly. And I mean, look, and whenever this became an issue in the past with me, I was like, of course, look, these people don't mean anything to me. I will block them right now. Like if that's what it comes to. I mean, not a lifelong friend, like, some of these friends, but for them, like 99% of people
you can
I follow,
mute them.
Yeah, I'll mute them right now if that's the issue, but I think this is a no-brainer. Nonetheless, some people seem to think otherwise. Nico S. YTA for automatically jumping to questioning his faithfulness. Well, I guess that was prior to the edit.
Yeah. I think that's like a fair, I mean, listen, I don't think it's like fair to do like, oh, YTA for this minute thing that's not really like a part of the situation. Like, I think we could play that game like all the time, but but now that we know that he's cheated, it completely changes things.
Completely. And T writes, your feelings are valid, and it would not be unreasonable for you to let your partner know that his habit of liking thirst traps makes you uncomfortable. I don't know if this means he is or could be unfaithful, so I wouldn't say anything accusatory. Focus on how it makes you feel. How long have you been together? If he minimizes your feelings or gets too defensive, it's a red flag. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm in general, like, look, these are friends I have. There are, like, ladies I know. I mean, hey, there's even a couple guys. Well, I guess I don't know JT Firstman, but if you guys know, JT Firstman's, like, the best Instagram character guy, and he's gay, and he posts,
he's great.
He posts, like, really, like, kind of, like, sexy stuff. And, anyway, now I'm kind of doubting myself, because I'm like, I wouldn't really like a thirst trap posted by JT Firstman, so is this really completely about support? Anyway, look. Nonetheless, I think this is a no-brainer given the whole context. AITA for confronting my boyfriend about him liking local girls near nude pics. We agree NTA and the boyfriend is.
Is he the asshole just because he's cheated in the past? Like, if he hadn't cheated, you'd say no assholes here?
If there was no edit, I would say no assholes here. This is a conversation. You need to work this out together. You need to figure out where the triggers are coming from. And like I said, if it was friends or it was kind of complicated, then you could maybe come to an agreement about muting or something like that and giving him some grace. But like, if he's just blatantly, this really does seem like he's chasing, because it's like, what are you doing? And and I just think it's so brazenly, devoid of empathy for her, given that he just cheated.
It's inconsiderate. It really is.
It's wild. I mean, if you cheat on someone, I'm sorry, but the next 3 to 6 months, you have to put in the extra effort. You can't just start coasting back to where you were. Are you crazy?
Yeah, no.
So to do something like this, so that's where I'm landing.
All right. Me too. I'm with you. We are very aligned. Unlike we were on the Bad Art Friend.
Heck yeah. Well, now everybody's aligned. And that is the EP, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next Monday morning. Bye.
We sure will.